So here's the moment everybody keeps dancing around, but nobody's really talking about. The mic. That tiny, stupid microphone said more about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's relationship than any royal expert or palace press release ever could. You might have missed it if you blinked, but when Harry had the mic and didn't hand it over to Meghan, that wasn't a fluke. That was a statement. A quiet, awkward power move in front of cameras, lights, and a crowd that didn't quite know what to make of it. And Meghan, she tried. She stepped right up uninvited, in a wrinkled outfit that looked like it lost a fight with a suitcase, hoping to insert herself into a moment that clearly wasn't meant for her. But this time, the playbook didn't work. Nobody clapped. Harry barely acknowledged her. The man she's usually glued to on stage barely turned his head, let alone handed over the spotlight. There was no passing of the mic, no chivalrous gesture, no ladies first. It was just silence, stares, and a massive shift in power that played out live and awkward. That alone could have told you everything. But here's the kicker. Nobody's talking about it. The mainstream press? Radio silent. They're still clinging to the outdated fairy tale. They're still pushing the power couple angle while completely ignoring the elephant stomping across the stage in heels and a deep tan. Meghan wasn't even supposed to be on that stage. And yet there she was, forcing the moment, hijacking the camera time, only to be left standing like an unwanted extra. And Harry, he looked like he'd seen this movie before. You could almost read his face when she tapped him on the back. Oh, great. Here we go again. The moment she showed up, the energy shifted. Not in a romantic, my queen has arrived way, but in that awkward, oh no, please don't make this weird kind of way. The same guy who once tried to hand her the mic in front of the world suddenly chose to keep it to himself. That's not just a glitch in the matrix. That's growth, frustration, or both. Then she did what she always does, stood there, smiled wide like everything was normal, and tried to play it cool. Except nobody bought it. The audience didn't react. The team on stage didn't move. Harry kept talking. Meghan just stood in the background, slowly realizing she wasn't part of this scene, then quietly walked off like a guest who stayed too long at a party. But again, where's the footage? Where are the headlines? Why is nobody rolling this clip 24/7 the way they do when Meghan flashes a forced smile or Harry scratches his nose? Because it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the story the media wants you to believe. It doesn't fit the modern royals in love narrative. This was raw. This was uncomfortable. This was real. And real is something the press has been trying hard to avoid when it comes to Meghan and Harry. And while all of that was happening on stage, across the world, another little detail went almost unnoticed. Ukraine. Yes, the government of Ukraine referred to Harry as His Royal Highness in official correspondence. Let that sink in. The same title he supposedly lost. The same title the palace was allegedly done with. Yet no correction, no statement, no pushback from Buckingham Palace. Why? Because maybe, just maybe, he's not as out of the family as they claim. Or maybe the palace is quietly playing both sides. Either way, this wasn't a coincidence. This was protocol. And protocol, especially in politics, isn't random. So between the cold shoulder on stage and the silent nod from Ukraine, what are we really seeing? A man stuck between two worlds, a woman desperate to reclaim the stage, and a palace that speaks more through silence than it ever does with words. Prince Harry may be halfway out of the royal bubble, but make no mistake, he's still knee-deep in the mess. There's this illusion that he's broken free, that he's living his best California life, podcasting and poloing under the sun. But then you catch the subtle clues, like who he travels with, how he's addressed in government ceremonies, and who still pulls the strings behind the scenes. You think it's a coincidence he went to Ukraine with palace aides? Not friends, not private staff, palace aides. The kind that don't just randomly hop on planes without clearance. And yet somehow the royal PR machine wants us to believe he's just a regular citizen now. If this was just about optics, it'd be laughable. But it's not. It's about power. Who has it? Who lost it? And who's scrambling to pretend they still do? Meghan Markle, for all the headlines and glam shots, is slipping. You can feel it. The charm offensive isn't charming anymore. She used to own every frame, every lens, every conversation. Now, when she steps on stage uninvited, people look confused instead of captivated. There's no magic left, only tension. And what happened at that Kevin Costner event? That's where the script completely fell apart. Meghan wasn't scheduled. She wasn't expected. Yet somehow, there she was, inserting herself into a moment that wasn't hers. The security team didn't stop her, the organizers didn't push back, but you could feel the discomfort in the air. Everyone froze. Cameras kept rolling, but nobody clapped. No one knew what to do. It was like a glitch in the matrix, something off, something unscripted. Then comes the tantrum. Not the kind you'd see in tabloids with smashed glass and flying plates. This was the quiet kind, the smile too hard kind, the stand there until someone notices me kind. And when no one did, she walked off. Stormed off, really, the kind of exit that says, I didn't get what I came for. And back behind the curtain, according to witnesses, she wasn't quiet about it. That smile melted the moment she was off camera. And what do you think happened to Harry once they got in the car? You think he didn't get an earful? This isn't just a marriage under stress. It's a partnership where one is clearly losing grip and the other is stuck pretending nothing's wrong. Meanwhile, the press keeps playing games. One day they say Harry and King Charles will reunite in 6 years. 6 years. That's a weirdly specific number, right? Feels more like a placeholder than a plan. More like a way to keep people hanging on, keep the donations coming, the Netflix deals flowing, and the illusion of reconciliation alive. Because if people believe there's still a maybe, then the Sucks brand stays warm just enough to be useful. But useful to who? That's the question. Because while Meghan tries to muscle her way back into the spotlight, the royal family is playing chess behind closed doors. They're not loud. They're not dramatic. But they know the game. They know how to starve the story without feeding the flames. No official statements, no press releases, just silence. And in that silence, Meghan gets more desperate and Harry looks more alone. It's not just about a broken relationship anymore. It's about two people who walked away from a system, thinking they could rebuild their own empire, only to realize they needed the old one to stay relevant. And now, with the palace ignoring them, the press spinning fairy tales, and the public starting to roll their eyes, all that's left is awkward glances, missed cues, and a mic that never changed hands. The deeper you look, the clearer it gets. This isn't just a publicity fallout or some random rough patch in a celebrity couple's life. This is a full-on collapse of the narrative they've carefully built for years. Meghan once controlled the frame, the lighting, the mood. Now she's fighting just to stay in the picture. Every move she makes feels forced. Every outfit, every appearance, every awkward smile, it's all trying too hard to be relevant. And the people around them, they're noticing. The insiders aren't staying silent anymore. They're whispering, watching, and waiting. The thing about Meghan that used to make her dangerous was her ability to spin the truth better than anyone else. She could take the dullest moment and wrap it in a ribbon of victimhood or empowerment, depending on the need. But that skill only works when the audience buys in. And lately, they're not. You can't keep selling empowerment while storming onto stages like an uninvited guest and fuming behind the scenes when the spotlight doesn't follow. The mask is slipping, and underneath it isn't some misunderstood icon. It's just another entitled celebrity who can't believe the world moved on. And Harry, he looks exhausted. Not in the I've been traveling too much way, but in the I've been biting my tongue for years way. This man went from being the charming, wild-hearted royal who everyone rooted for, to someone who can barely get a sentence out without sounding like he's rehearsed it 10 times and still doesn't believe a word of it. He's not just half in and half out of the royal family. He's half in and half out of his own identity. California hasn't made him freer. It's made him quieter, more unsure, more trapped. Back in the UK, the royal machinery keeps turning without him. King Charles doesn't flinch. Prince William doesn't pause. The palace doesn't even bother issuing clarifications anymore. Why should they? Let Harry and Meghan spin their wheels in Montecito. Meanwhile, the real show, the one that still commands respect, influence, and global attention, is happening without them. Harry knows it. That's why every trip to Europe feels like a plea for relevance. Every public engagement is a calculated move to stay tethered to the crown, even if unofficially. And yet, the biggest twist is that the press still plays along. Not because they believe in Harry and Meghan, but because conflict sells. They'll print fluff when it suits them and scandal when it spikes traffic. One day they push out glowing headlines about reconciliation. The next, they churn out anonymous sources claiming the couple is on the brink. It's not journalism, it's bait, and Harry and Meghan keep taking it. The silence from Buckingham Palace isn't weakness, it's strategy. Every time Meghan complains, every time Harry opens up about trauma, the royal family simply shrugs. They've realized the best way to handle a fire is to let it burn itself out. And that's exactly what's happening. Meghan's charm is fading, Harry's defiance is turning into hesitation, and the world is starting to care less. But behind all this spectacle, there's something sad about it too. Two people who thought they could break away and build something better, now lost in a fog of contradictions and desperation. The fairy tale didn't just end, it unraveled on stage in front of cameras, and the world saw it. Not in some loud explosion, but in a mic that stayed in Harry's hand, in a dress that didn't fit the moment, and in the silence.